First step, swapping the diff and dropping the rear subframe. Jack up your car. Alright, so I'm, as you can see, part of the way through doing my, doing the swap with the diff, and I just wanted to show out some of the things that I thought might help people if you're doing this on the ground like I'm doing it. So, I'll get under the car, do my best to show you some of the things that you gotta take out from here, but obviously the first one that you're gonna notice, no suspension. I have true rear coilovers, so they're pretty easy to take out for mine. You might be able to get away with leaving them in, but I just thought it would be easier because otherwise it'd just be hanging out of these two bolts, so just take them out. So what I got here is obviously you have to take the rotor off so that we can disconnect the emergency brake. So there's just two bolts, or sorry, two nuts on the other side, kind of on the bottom, and I only found this one place on the internet. Basically, there's this little clip that sits over kind of like this. You obviously want to make sure that your parking brake is off. You can slide this off, and then when that comes off, you can reach needle nose pliers in, and because it's your emergency brake is off, you can grab this piece with needle nose pliers and basically pull it forward and around that little hook, and then it comes right out. Okay, excuse the rust, but basically my rear sway bars I've already removed. It's just going to be a couple bolts on each side that go into the rear subframe, and then you're going to remove the end link, and then you can just pull the whole thing out, and then you'll have access to this one. You can get to the front too without removing anything. I just have a support here so that when my drive shaft droops down, it's not gonna go all the way against the all the way to the concrete here. So let's see, what's the other stuff? Oh, there's another bracket for the parking brake that's going to go up into the rear subframe. And, oh yeah, I've got my calipers, which you probably saw hanging up there. And I think that covers everything for what you're going to have to do under. So we've got suspension, sway bar, drive shaft. Oh, and then obviously you're gonna have to remove your exhaust. All pretty simple stuff. And then what I'm gonna try doing is just dropping the diff on its own first, and then because I'm gonna be making my own urethane solid subframe bushings, I'll drop the subframe after that. Oh, actually, so yeah, you're gonna want to make sure that, so I have this for the leveling for the headlights. You want to make sure that you disconnect that, and there's also what I forgot here. This is in the hub basically for wheel speed, so you're gonna want to make sure that that comes out and is disconnected and out of the way before you try dropping the subframe out. So I guess I'll just jump into seeing if I can drop that out, because basically what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, make sure you drop or drain all the oil out, obviously, but when I drop the differential, I'm basically going to have it slowly come out, and hopefully I can just kind of pop out the axles and everything for that. And then when I put everything back in, hopefully I can just do it without disconnecting the axles from the hub and all of this other kind of linkage. So if I'm successful with that, there won't be any further talk about this kind of stuff. But if I'm not, then you'll see an update where I show you what I did. Alright, quick update. So what I did was I stuck a pry bar right in here, and you can see I just kind of, once I dropped the diff down, You can see how low I dropped it. It's probably most of the way out. And I just popped out both sides. So when I've been lowering it down here, it seems to be going pretty good. I'll show you. I'm just doing this one-handed, so hopefully it, you know, doesn't explode. So yeah, you can see like it just kind of slowly drops out, and maybe the angle, you know, like isn't the best, but should allow me to kind of get in there the way that I need and either pop these out or maybe they kind of come out nice on their own. So just thought I'd get a quick update. The next thing, you'll see it out of the car, and we'll be ready to drop this ugly subframe. So new diff mounts and custom subframe bushings, risers too. It'll bring it up a little bit, but as you can see, there's only like, that's like 6 millimeters, so you're not really gaining anything by raising your subframe. You can see not really big difference on mine. And one more update with the diff out. So I just took a little piece of wood and put it underneath the axles, just to help save it from a really terrible angle, but I can't imagine it's too bad for it to sit like that for a little bit. Alright, well, I hope this is gonna come in okay, because it's a little windy out here, but as you can see, I have the subframe all the way out. It was pretty hard to film because I don't have a whole lot of space. So anyway, the subframe is out. I have all of these out, and then I've already started putting in the new mounts. These ones are pretty self-explanatory. So these are the front mounts. The flange piece goes on the outside. I just took my mallet and put a little bit of grease around there, hammered them in, and then put the inserts in. And these are the Coupe store rear mounts. So they're 2 pieces, and so you can kind of see how this one is together. You insert that one from that side, and then this just goes on the back side, and then it's similar for this one. This one's a little bit weirder. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea how they go on. So here's some of my bushings. With the diff bushings, I was able to just get basically like a screwdriver, and then I think I used a chisel, bent it up in a couple spots, and then just used a big 3-pound hammer, pound them right out. They came out without having to do any cuts or anything like that. Actually, you can see this one was not in good shape. And the subframe. So I wouldn't recommend doing it the way that I did it, but basically I got a carbide tooth for my Sawzall. I just reach it straight down through here, and basically I just made a cut here and here, and then I bent and pounded out the one side, and then this side came out with relative ease. So that was kind of a long, painful process of going by each mount. Some were easier than others, but as you can see now, I've taken all my measurements. The interesting thing is that the front and rear, not only is what's above this part, are they different heights, the diameters are different front to rear, and the mounting points, how these have to get machined, are also different front to rear, both in their length and in their diameters, and it's kind of a pain to do all this stuff. So, but similar, if you've ever installed polyurethane mounts like this before, these guys are going to be just as easy. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a light coating on this, and then just because I like to double up, and then I'll push that down. So I'll do that real quick for both of these, and then I'll show you how easy it is for these ones that I designed. So, oh, the way that I did this is I went into, I use Fusion 360. The other program that I have a lot of experience with is called SolidWorks. So I went in after getting all of my measurements and modeled all these, 3D printed a mold, which is why you can see some of the lines. Bought a 2-part urethane, and then casted these myself, popped them out of the mold. And the tricky part when you're making these is not only do they need to be the right length, because this is where the strength comes from, because when you have a mount like this that is EPDM, they actually basically have the rubber bonded to the metal. With this urethane, you do not, obviously you can see here, and like with these mounts, you don't bond to this. What's up? Okay. So that is why the heights and the amount of interference between the how tight this has to fit in there, and then also how tight this fits into this piece here. That's why those are pretty critical. But I'll do my little bit of greasing and I'll show you the one, and then I'll finish doing the rest of these, and then I'll throw it back in the car. It's going to be kind of hard to film any of this when I'm on my back trying to throw it in myself. So these ones, there's not a lot of interference, but I've already test fit these a few times. So the reason that I have grease on these is because I have obviously a poor experience with urethane also getting really squeaky. So that's the other reason why I have that on everything. Is I know that these really aren't going to move or anything, but I would prefer to just have them not squeak. Also, the durometer that I chose for these is a 70A, and I got a little tester for them, and it seems like it was pretty accurate for what I poured. The stock ones, I could only get measurements on this part, and they seem to be about a 70A, but as you can see, you can actually, well, it's kind of hard to see in here, but you can actually see all the way through them, and they're only attached in a couple small spots. So even though they're the same durometer, I'm going to have a solid filling. The other thing that you could do is basically buy a urethane and then try and get in like the special primer to help bond to it, and just fill these, or just fill them because they're going to be constrained anyway, so it's not going to go anywhere. So you could just fill them if you wanted to do that too, but to be honest, I preferred this option because I have limited success with trying to get urethane to bond to dirty rubber, basically. But what I'm doing for these, oh, and the front ones, they have to have this special flat notch here for these components, or this mounting location, because otherwise there we go. So you can see that it was still a close fit, but just turn it until it's kind of got some clearance. Just push it up into place. So once those are in, now this guy, I'm going to push it up from the bottom. So since I elected to go with aluminum, since the stock one is also aluminum, hopefully yeah, so these are a close fit, and I can't do this with one hand, so I'm gonna have to put this down and then come back, because as you can see I can get it started but it won't go all the way up. Okay, so there we go, all mounted up, and I have to do that 4 more times, and then since I already have these in, we'll be ready to throw it back in. So hopefully it goes alright, because I actually designed these to have such minimal clearance that you don't need, or I won't need, subframe collars. So hopefully I got the right tolerances on that, because this is a long distance and 4 mounting points that get a lot of a tolerance stack that happens in them. So we'll do this, and then when it's all mounted up, I'll kind of give you a shot of what it looks like all mounted up, both before and after the diff goes on. Alright, so I got my diff up here, and if I didn't say it before, excuse the rust, but that's just a part of life where I live. But you can see I got these, the Coupe store diff mounts, they're ready to go in. And then you can see I have a large washer here that I've had laser cut from 3/8 aluminum. That worked out to put this, basically you need something that's going to support this bushing and that center sleeve that's in there. So that worked out nice. The front uses this special little thing that mounts to the chassis there. Okay, so that mount has this normally that sits on it, and this piece was just another isolator that would sit where you see these little holes. So those would sit in there. I got rid of this because I just didn't want to deal with 2 pieces, so now it's just all 1 piece. That bolted up, and everything is torqued down nice. It all torqued to spec, no issues. I threw everything back together. Now I just got to throw the diff and exhaust. I think I'm ready to go. Alright, this is the best view you're going to get. That is the sway bar back up. My exhaust back on. The diff is in place. Basically what you have to do is for the diff mounts, you're going to have to go clockwise. So basically pick any one of these, and you're just going to go around in a circle, starting at 25 foot-pounds, then to 50, and then to 75 to tighten those all up. So basically I put 2 new crush washers on there and been letting it sit, and seems good to me. So no drip, so it looks like I sealed it up well, and I know this is a controversial one to have in there. My car doesn't make a ton of power, maybe somewhere in the 400s after I get retuned. So I'm not really concerned about bending or breaking anything, but I guess we'll cross that road when we come to it.